लौट के आया हूँ फील्ड से, तो मैंने ये पुराने अखबार पढ़े. वन ऑफ द न्यूज, द सुप्रीम कोर्ट हैज that matter related to reservation. The government has formed a committee and said the report will be given in 2 years. So, firstly we discuss this social issue. कोई भरोसा नहीं है, रिलीजन वर्सेस धर्म पूछ सकता है तो वो reservation of Dalit Christians and Dalit Muslims. Background, all of you know. Who are Dalits and who are SCs?
Yes, sir.
Why the term Dalit?
Heartbroken, sir.
Because they were previously Dalits in their classification.
Pardon?
Because they were previously classified as Dalits, probably in the census by Britishers.
What do you mean by Dalit?
Sir, broken.
Untouchable.
Broken?
Yes, sir. Who has no hope to recover in future.
That is the broken people of the Romans. No.
Sir, marginalized section of society.
No. I'm asking the meaning of the word Dalit.
Sir, oppressed.
Oppressed and exploited. So that is a common term. Anybody who was depressed, it could be any of the people, communities. And previously this term was used till 1970s for SCs and STs both. And now even the government has denounced the use of this term. That in all official communication, you will be only using the term SC, not the Dalit. Because of the rising Dalit movement, you can say one way. That could be the reason. Not very sure about. So the issue is whether Dalit Christians or Dalit Muslims should get reservation or not. Yes or no? No views?
Sir, I think they should get.
Give reasons.
Sir, because they
if they are Dalit of Hindu, then they are Dalit of other religion also. They are Dalit there also.
So is it the problem of the constitution?
No, sir, but constitution provides us.
If they are Dalit, they are
follow.
Then why they got converted?
Sir, because we have given the freedom to follow a religion of our choice.
But
See,
then,
let me tell you how these Dalit Christians and Dalit Muslims came up. About the poor people, they were there everywhere. And if you have seen my videos on Islamic invasions and their impact, for many Islamic rulers, the choice given was very clear cut to non-Muslims. First, get converted. If you don't, then pay jizya. If you don't, do menial jobs. And if you don't, finish. So a large number of people, those who could not pay jizya, they got converted to Islam. During Aurangzeb's period, there was so much of conversion that the government didn't get enough taxes even to pay for their soldiers. Because when you are converted, you don't have to pay jizya, and it was a major tax. That was one of the reasons of downfall of Mughal Empire. And still, who didn't follow all of them, they ran away to jungles. And today you call them Adivasis. If you have read my book, I have given quote of Ibn Battuta also. He has writes it very clearly. That was one thing. Another thing, again I have written there, that the economy of the country, it was simply too great. Contributing to the world GDP, 32.4% in the 1000 AD, reduced to 16% by 1700, and hardly 1.5% at the time we got independence. You will be reading in modern India the reforms that were made by the British, the reforms. There was a follower of Gandhiji, Mr. Dharampal. Gandhiji told him to note down all the documents from the British records. British had surveyed the country because they wanted to rule, so observation has to be there. And it is shown that in 1820, the literacy rate of India was 98%. Dharampalji has written a book, The Beautiful Tree. British had banned it. Now it was published in 2000 AD. The Beautiful Tree. Literacy rate was 98%. So do you think all were Brahmins? Or all were Dvijas?
सर ब्यूटीफुल
All communities were there.
नेटवर्क प्रॉब्लम था
सर ये कौन से ईयर में थी लिटरेसी रेट 98%?
1820.
1820. And the teachers, the Brahmin teachers, they range from 6% to 47%. And it was spread by the British that it is only the Brahmins who are doing everything. What happened? I have given an example of Thanjavur, which you call Tanjore. Tanjore is located in the delta of three rivers, and it was one of the most prosperous city in the world, you can say. During the Vijayanagar Empire, it was really prosperous, and when they declined, it came to Marathas. And Hyder and Tipu, father son duo, first father, they kept on troubling, but they could do nothing. So Tipu had a tie-up with the French. There was an agreement, it is there on record, that we together will win the country and then we will divide 50-50. So Marathas, they tied up with the British. So it was Mysore plus French on that side, and here Marathas were and British this side. As historians tell you that Tipu fought British, so therefore he was a nationalist. And by chance, the ruler of that Maratha kingdom, he died without a male successor. And under the policy of lapse, the British took over. Before that, the rate of interest was 15% flat on everything. Prosperity was because of the low taxes. And economy was growing because of the Vaishyas and the Shudras, whom you call Vaishyas and Shudras. Because Brahmins were not producers, Kshatriyas were not producers. So they produced, people purchased, temples purchased, the royals they purchased, and when British took over, they increased the rate of interest to 54%. Means all these producers, their economy literally crashed. And before that, I told you literacy rate. So you had that Macaulay drama, you know it. Land reforms were there, because of which again the interest rates were increased in land also. So the small landholders, they could not sustain. So their land was either taken over by big landlords or by the government. And all the land associated with the temples as well. Previously, each village had a temple, temple had a land, people generously donated to the temple. The temple was responsible for the education, free education for all the people. irrespective of their caste and religion. So money flow stopped in the temples also, land was also taken away from them. So education finished, economy finished. Vast majority became the ones without literacy and without land. Crores of people whom you call today as Dalits. Dalit as an entity in Indian history is not there. So, historically they have been poor. They have been made poor, you can say. Or they were poor when they converted to Islam. And here Christianity came into force. That means they were poor previously also, and they are poor even now. So what benefit they got of conversion? They thought that the grass is green on the other side. And if they didn't find it, they should have come back. They cannot. Not only Valmiki, even Jats. I'm telling you, in Punjab, before COVID, hardly 1.5 to 2% people were Christians. During COVID and now, it has increased to almost 9%, maybe 10%. And that Channi, the CM that was, people say he was a Christian. So, Allah Hulila, whatever they say, जो भी है वो. Punjabis, you know, and Christians, they have, I read it, Christians have a standing offer, 10 lakh rupees, get converted, lower caste. Jats, ticket to Canada. Punjabis are blind after this thing, you can say. They would die for, they would do anything to go to Canada. 9% has become. That's different. Anyway, I was talking historically. So they became poor. Now the question is, when in Constitution this bill came and Act came into being, it was clear that caste system is a typical feature of Hinduism. In no scriptures in Abrahamic religions you will find this term. So if you favor all this history, you know, first of all Hinduism and then Sikhs and Jains and then subsequently Buddhists because of the neo-Buddhists, all those people, that history you know about. Now the matter is with the Supreme Court, you have to answer. If you think reservation should be there for them, how would you justify? 10 years ago, 11 years ago, I think I wrote a blog. Those days I was a blogger. nkwad.blogspot.com. I wrote it that if religious leaders of Christianity and Islam, they are honest and they want their welfare, they should ask them to go back to their own religion, original religion. They won't. Simple. Even Supreme Court has said that if you know your lineage and your lineage people are ready to accept, you can revert back. They'll never do it. And otherwise also, if you know Islam, leaving Islam, Gustake Rasool ki yahi saza, you know it. So if you are living isolated in cities like Delhi, you may convert to anything. People may not know about it, and even people do it, we know it, nothing may happen. But if you are living in ghettos, mohallas and cities populated by Muslims, you cannot even think about. Christianity may be a bit more liberal. And the interesting thing is that both these Abrahamic religions, they are interested in conversion. During COVID, I gave you just one example. More examples are there in my book, The Truth About Caste. But once you convert, they forget about you. Or they want you to remain poor so that their bossism continues. Not even today, about 40 years ago even, in Delhi I'm saying, in the JJ colonies, you have a lot many Dalit Christians. Every Sunday, people come from church to give them Sunday bonanza. Every Sunday. So that was a big invitation. Your law says neither by threat nor by lure. Do you think it's not lure? They say, no, we are helping our brethren. They pretty realize that if they don't have help, then they may go back. Who knows? Conversion may be allowed, may not be allowed. It depends on your logic. But one thing you must remember, Swami Vivekananda said that if a Hindu leaves his religion, it is not that one person has left religion, it is that another enemy of Hinduism has been created. To know details, you will have to read Quran or you will have to read Bible.
Sir, repeat.
If a person gets converted from Hinduism, it is not that one person has converted. It is that another enemy of Hinduism has been created. Ambedkar even thought of becoming a Muslim first. That's a big history. And today's Islamists, they say that Constitution has given us this right, given the Constitution given by Baba Sahib Ambedkar. But then Baba Sahib also said that if there is partition, there would be clear partition of population also. That all the Muslims go to Pakistan. Because even if a single Muslim remains here, the problem will remain. Why they forget this? Pick and choose won't work. Anyway, so you can argue for the reservation. People say, but Constitution doesn't permit. You can argue, okay, amend the Constitution. You have already amended 120 plus times. Let there be one more amendment. If you are against, you will say no, it cannot be. If Constitution could be amended, then in all these 75 years, why they didn't? The basic problem is again conversions. If SCs, Dalit SCs and Dalit Muslims and Dalit Christians, if they are giving reservations, you take it from me that a large number of Hindu SCs, they'll get converted to because of the lures they have. Your Constitution says neither by threat nor by lure. So if you have to allow conversion, if you have to allow reservation for Dalit Christians and Dalit Muslims, then you will have to enforce anti-conversion law very strictly. Otherwise, people know that any day if Hinduism comes to minority, what will be the fate of the country? Even the Muslim leaders, they agree that India is secular because of Hindus. So either way you can argue, either way you can defend, but you have to give the backgrounder, you have to give historicity. The issue is if they are poor, why they are poor still? Millions and billions of dollars would pour into the country through various NGOs, you have seen, through FCRA. The government stopped only 4, 5, 6 years ago. With that money, you could have educated them. You could have trained them for employment. I told you they were not interested. They were interested only in conversion. So if you have a very strict anti-conversion law, and it was debated in the parliament in the constitutional debates, but then the religious preachers from Islam and Christianity, they met Nehru. Hmm? Because propagation of religion is an integral part of our religious duties. And if you don't let us do it, it means you are stopping us, preventing us from performing our religious duties, and you call yourself as secular. And that is why the language was changed. It was to be a strict law, but because of the so-called secularism of Gandhi, Nehru, Gandhi was also secular. After Corona, I am no more a secular. I told you about. So, if you want reservation to be given, obviously poor. And again, I have already told you, and I have in my video, must reservations go. I have made it very clear that if at all reservation has to be there, it should be based on economy. But nobody had the guts to do it. Nobody is ready to endanger his political career. Though I think it may stabilize the political career because 80% of Indians are poor. Government may not agree, but if you are giving 1%, 1 rupee, 2 rupee, 3 rupee things to 66% of the people, 50% in the urban areas and 75% in the rural areas, it is 66%. That means government is admitting that 66% are poor. Even that EWS category that is there, 80% of people are falling in that category. That's why the matter is in Supreme Court. We will discuss some other day. That is most likely to be quashed by the Supreme Court because I don't find any reason in that. So either way you can argue. If it has to be, what to do? If it is not to be, what to do? But do not forget the historical moorings of the things.